Howdy. Thought today maybe we could talk about gear a little bit. We all love gear. I'm no different. And if you have a studio or you record almost anywhere, what you will find is that you accumulate a bit of gear and you switch out a bit of gear. I have been through a lot of gear in my time. Interfaces, for example. I started out with M-Box, like some of you, and that's how I ended up into Pro Tools. Then I moved to a Focusrite. I had a brief dalliance with the UA Apollo, and then finally settled on the Audient ID44, and I do love the Audient. In fact, I love the whole Audient ecosystem, and I saw that at NAMM, a new ID48 has come out, which is a rack-mounted interface. And although I love my ID44 Mark I, boy, I would like that. Thank God it's not coming out for now, because it gives me a chance to step away from the ledge on getting a new interface. As you might have seen in the previous message, I invested in an Audient ASP800 mic pre, and I've been very happy with that, all in all. And I think the ID48 would go very well sitting right on the rack on top of the ASP800. But we cycle through a lot of gear, and I have a number of guitars. I think I've got 8 of them now. What does that mean? That means I need another guitar. And I would love to own another guitar, but I'm, again, holding off. I think I own 4 hardware synths and quite a few software synths. We'll talk about plugins in a minute. Do I want another hardware synth? You know, I wouldn't mind. I love my Teenage Engineering OP1 Field. I've gotten a last album, I got a lot of mileage out of it. This album, not so much, the one I'm working on now. Would I love to try the new Teenage Engineering OPXY or whatever they call that thing? Yeah, but I mean, really? That is, I could buy a new MacBook for that, and I probably need a new MacBook one of these days. So I'm, again, stepping away from the ledge. One thing that I have cycled through, 2 things that I've cycled through, are microphones and pedals. Microphones are tend to be expensive. A new high-end microphone might cost $10,000, and a clone of that microphone might cost $5,000. And although I've been told not to buy a preamp or a new microphone until you buy a good preamp, hey, I've got a preamp now. So maybe what I need is some new microphones. Actually, I just need 1 new microphone. I started out in the first album recording with this little baby here, which is a SM58, which is so old. I'm surprised the Smithsonian hasn't come for it. And it did okay. And it did double duty with one of these, which is the Audio Technica 2020. Again, it's an okay mic. It's an okay mic. It's kind of like a podcast mic. For the second album, I needed to up my game vocally. And so I invested in one of these, which is a warm clone of Neumann at 87, something 87, I don't know. And the engineers told me what an improvement that was for my voice. But now I'm on album number 3, and I realize that there's a lot of part of my vocals which is missing out of the mix. And I am convinced that it has to do with the mic, not just with the ability to get them. And so I've done a lot of research for microphones. And if you look at Gear Talk on the YouTube, on the internet, a lot of it focuses around microphones. You know, what did this artist use? What does that artist use? And I mean, some artists sing out of, you know, a relatively inexpensive mic. And by relatively inexpensive, I mean sub $1,000 mic. And some of them sing out of $10,000 mics. And I was looking for one that would work with my low baritone voice. And I settled on a Neumann, I don't know what it is, it's a 46. And I realized that that mic is $10,000 and a good clone of it is $5,000. Maybe you can find one on Reverb for $4,000. None of which I'm willing to spend, but I did find, again, that Warm makes one. They make that, and it is a monster. To give you an idea, this is the 87. This thing must weigh 3 or 4 pounds. It weighs so much that when I put it on the boom, I needed another couple of pounds on the end of the boom to keep it upright. And I was convinced that this would do what I wanted it to do, as it's a tube mic with a transformer. And I will tell you that it has. It really has. But I didn't want to take it for granted. I did an A/B test, and I brought a disinterested second party in, namely my spouse, to listen. And she agrees, this kicks ass. So I love it. That being said, another thing that I tend to switch out are pedals. I've been through a lot of pedals. If you play guitar, you've been through a lot of pedals maybe. And I'm constantly, every album, I'm looking for the pedal combination and the pedal chain that will work for me. And like microphones, I'm not willing to part with pedals that I pull off the board. I save them. You never know when you're going to need that Phase 90 again. You never know when you're going to need that Digitech Whammy or, you know, any of those other pedals that you pulled off the board. So they just sit in a sort of a pedal drawer, like I have a mic drawer. My current pedals are situated for the third album. And the third album, as I said in a previous video, is designed to be a bit more accessible. And it's also designed to have a little more of I'm going to say, at times rock, at times country, at times 90s punk feel. And so, although there's a lot more piano in it, there's also a lot more upfront guitar. And so I did switch out the pedals for something that I thought would sound better, and it does. I got great sounds out of the bass pedal board. The other thing that I did is I changed out my amp modeler. I have been using the amplitude models, but I've gone to the IK Fender models. And again, those have had a bit more oomph to them than the amplitude models have had. So I'm happy with that. But I look at how much money I've spent over the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. And it's not an insubstantial amount of money. I probably have net about $30,000 worth of gear here. A full third of it, $10,000 of it, is in pedals and plugins. And the question is, when I look at the how much it is, I mean, $4,000 in plugins? You know, everybody's always trying to sell you a new pedal and a new plugin. This plugin will do this. This plugin will do that. This vocal chain, you got to have this kind of plugin. And I have been in the studio, professional studios, to do mixing and mastering, and I have found that a lot of them now have moved to working inside the box, not so much with all that hardware and racks. And the plugins that they use are the plugins predominantly that come with Pro Tools. I don't know what comes with Logic, frankly, but Pro Tools, you get this whole raft of plugins that are part of the subscription, and essentially they're free. And so they don't use a fancy reverb, they use deverb. They don't use a fancy equalizer. They use the 7-band or 3-band equalizer that's in Pro Tools. They use bass amp. They use all the stuff that you get for free. The plugins that they buy are expensive plugins. You know, they're using Sonox and Isotope and Manly and these kinds of plugins, plugins that I've never seen before that help them with, you know, stereo widening or, you know, other ways to sweeten the mix. And these plugins are $700, $800, not $49.99. So it occurs to me that I've probably wasted a lot of money on plugins. And though I will tell you, when I see that video or that thing, I'm like, oh man, you know, maybe I need that plugin to do something. And I need to like put a sticker on my desktop that says, don't do it. So what I'm telling you is to focus on the sharp end of your recording, your microphones, your guitars, your amplifiers, the things that create the sound. Because I will tell you, they cannot fix that in the studio. What they can do is help it sit right in the mix. They can help you fix a couple of pitch issues. That kind of thing they can help you with. They can't make you play guitar better. They can't make you play your bass better, and they can't make you sing better, in spite of what people think about auto-tune. I love my studio, and I love working in it. And what I want is I want tools that help me work in my studio as effectively and creatively as I can, and don't frustrate me. And so everything that I've tried to put in here is designed to do that. I see studios that look like they cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. They don't do anything different than my studio does here, really. They don't capture what they're doing any differently. And they won't do it for you either, whether you're working in your bedroom or in your basement or in your garage or like I am in a purpose-built studio. At the end of the day, the tools you use need to support what you're doing. Don't fall for the gear scam that you'll see coming out with NAMM or YouTube or any of these other videos that promote you need another piece of equipment to sound better. What you need is just the right equipment and just the right amount of it. Okay? So much for your pep talk. I'm on album number 3, and next video we'll talk a little bit about it. I'm about 5 tracks in to album number 3. and I'm pretty excited about it. It's, I think, going to be more accessible, and I've had fun recording it. And we'll talk about recording it next time. In the meantime, I'm sleeping with this mic. Sorry, spouse. Cheers.